that's where they got their first taste of military action, and that's where they got their training, and that's the training that they applied when they took to the hills and when they took to the ditches.
They got their military training at British expense.
Well, they got their military training in the
Fighting
British
for and
Army.
giving their lives.
Yeah, fighting for the British.
But they also got their nationalism from the British Army. And again, Tom Barry's own story starts, the first pages of it is that he was in the British Army in what is now Iraq. He was at the land of the two rivers, he personally. Probably in Basra, because that's where they were at the time. And he said he was a young man, maybe 17, 18, knew nothing of Irish history because they hadn't been taught. And he saw at the barracks, or saw snippets of an English paper showing that they had shot the leaders of the 1916 rebel. And they were going, what's going on? So here are these Irish kids. What's going on? We're wearing the uniform of the guys who are shooting our people. So that's where Tom Barry got not only his military training, but also his Irish nationalism and his absolutely unquenchable desire to go back and to do something about it.
What's that book that we just got on Tom Barry?
The Flying I'll think of it in a moment.
I'm sure I got it on eBay. The Irish history on eBay.
Yeah, I'll think of it in a moment.
There's also a film I saw recently that explained that whole, the black and tan, what was that one about the doctor who was going to go to England and then he
The
saw the
bar-
black and tan? Like,
The Wind That Shook the Barley.
yeah, that
Yeah.
was a good one for people like myself that
Yeah,
didn't know a lot of the
Yeah,
details.
it was.
Kind of filled in some of
it was. It certainly was. It got right into the open wounds, if you like, of that period.
Curious in that movie too, that didn't the IRA form when the Republic, there was some Republic was formed in Ireland before the uprising?
Well, the first Republic was declared in my home county in Mayo, in Castlebar, by General Humbert of the French in 1798, the year of the French. So they actually beat the British out of Castlebar, chased them all the way to Galway. They ran, known as the Races of Castlebar, and they celebrated in Castlebar by declaring the Republic of Connacht, and had a flag and the whole shebang. So actually, the first republic was actually declared in Castlebar, Mayo.
I thought wasn't it Parnell that formed didn't they have some kind of, in British Parliament, have some kind of law that they try to pass, have Ireland have some kind of...
That was home rule.
A home rule.
That was not a republic.
But basically, wasn't the IRA formed after that?
No. The IRA really didn't come in until... officially, it actually didn't come in until 1919, after the November 1918 or December 1918 general election, when 73 MPs that would normally go to Westminster ran on a platform of not going to Westminster and declaring a republic, and they met on January the 21st, I think, in 1919, and a lot of them were actually in jail. They were elected while they were in jail. The slogan was put him in to get him out. But over half of them, including De Valera, was in jail, and he was the president of the republic, which was still in existence, that was declared by Pádraig Pearse. But anyway, Carl Brua took the chair in the Mansion House, and he solemnly warned them that what they were doing was a non-revocable step. That if they not re-establish, but if they, what's the word? When you brain is gone.
We're establishing a republic.
Yeah, but what do you when you actually?
repudiate.
No, the opposite to repudiate.
Proclaim.
No, not proclaim.
Sounds like first letter.
Pardon?
First letter. sounds-
Yeah, I'm sinning.
Both run out words.
When you countersign, when you
You
approve,
ratify it?
exactly, ratify. That was the word I was looking for. Well, the ratify or reinforce, ratify the. That's what it was. That there was no going back from it, and they voted unanimously to do that. Now, at that moment, the army of the Republic, which was actually the IRB or the Volunteers, whichever you like, became the Irish Republican Army, because now you had a government. And as far as they were concerned, an official government, they had received over 70% of the vote of the entire country, including the North. That's why it was so unjust. If that had happened in Scotland, I doubt if they would not have honoured it. It certainly, if it happened today in Scotland, for instance, if a majority of the elected MPs, including Tony Blair, to Westminster said, and 74% of them, but 70% of them decided that's a mandate in any country, in any time, and it was totally ignored by the British. So they took that as a mandate of their, and it's not they did it secretly. Everybody who cast a vote for all of those people knew that they were not going to go to Westminster. So therefore, indirectly, because we were still operating under the British constitution system, so the election was legal by all international standards and so on. Anyway, it was at that moment that the IRA came into existence, and that of course has caused a lot of problems ever since, because it was the essential seed of the Civil War, because having done that, you can't concede it. It's only the Irish people who voted for them that could accept less than that. And that was the constraint that the Republicans were under in the treaty debates. And that's what caused the Civil War. And again, if you were alive then, which side would you have gone? You have to answer that in your own mind. And
That started the Civil War?
Yeah.
Not the War for Independence.
well,
That's the Civil War.
that's the Civil War.
1922, and one side was called Irish Republicans, and the other side was called the Free Staters. And the differentiated mark was who accepted the country as it was divided by the border, taking away 6 counties from Ulster and retaining them to the British Crown, and who accepted who refused to accept that and wanted to go for the whole 32 counties in Ireland.
But excuse me for a second, I don't want you to think now that the Civil War started that moment. It didn't. The War of Independence started, if you like, at that moment.
Right.
And the IRA then fought the Black and Tans. The actual Civil War started when a delegation to London accepted less than what was solemnly declared and accepted and ratified it was called the First Dáil. And all down through the 1900s, right down to the present time, the IRA considered themselves the legitimate government of the Irish nation, north and south, because the Irish people never changed that from the First Dáil in 1919. That's the theory. But the actual Civil War broke out in 1922 and was instanced by the shelling of the forecourts by the Free State, the state that had been set up as a result of the treaty. So that's a huge thing that we're still working through as Irish people on both sides, and we're gradually coming to accept it as history, and that there really was no rights and wrongs. Although personally, I would have been a Republican without any question about in my mind. Because I'm a black and white kind of guy. You know, if you won what you won, that's will you stand and hold it. You know, but sometimes that's not. You do have to compromise. Politics is compromise. But the Civil War didn't start at that moment. It started later on. But the question I was answering was, when did the IRA start? Up until then, there was only 2 entities. The IRB, the Irish Republican Brotherhood, which was a very, very secret oath-bound society, outlawed by the Catholic Church, because you're not allowed to give up your free will, is the theological basis of the argument on that. Of course, that's the promo. The real was because they were tended to be more. They were quite happy with the British Crown and with but that's again another question, a whole different question. Okay, is it already? Is it? Oh yeah. Okay. Well, just to wrap it up, then we did well. We finished the course. Maybe not the way everybody would have liked, and
So
certainly.
basically it comes down to blow them up and then negotiate later.
That's the good old American way. Yeah.
Negotiate with whoever's left.
Correct. Or the difference between a diplomat and a terrorist is the size of their bomb.